Hello again, it's Sean here, and I'm part of the team at Andover Baptist Church. My series of devotions this week is called A Funny Thing Happened, and today, day 4, I wanted to tell you a story of an amazing coincidence. Yesterday, I told you about an incident that happened to me when I lived in a small house in Charlton back in the early 1990s. And before we lived in that house, it was owned by a chap called Peter, not his real name. We had got to know Peter when we first looked around the house, and I've met him a few times over the months it takes to buy the place. We got on really well together. In the September of that year, we had a 2-week holiday planned in North Wales, and so Peter knew that we would not be around for a while, though it wasn't an issue, he said, because he was also going away on holiday. We had a great first week in Wales, doing all sorts of walks along the coast, visiting local attractions and just relaxing away from the pressures of work and normal everyday life. At the start of the second week, we decided to climb Snowdon because the weather was great and you have to take a chance when that happens in Snowdonia. And so we set off. A few breathless hours later, we arrived near the top and visited the cafe there. It wasn't the current really nice one at that time, but a much simpler one. It's been replaced by a much better one these days. After a short break, we headed up to the concrete trig marker right at the summit, which, if you've ever been to the top of Snowdon, you will know is where everyone wants to have their photograph taken. And as we climbed the final few steps, who should be coming up the steps on the other side of the mound but, yes, you've guessed it, Peter. I sort of just called it out, saying something like, "Hello, Peter." He was shocked to see us, and then we all just laughed at the incredible coincidence of it all. I mean, even if we'd had both known that we were going to Wales at the same time, what were the chances of us choosing the same day to climb Snowdon? And then how many little events had to happen for us to arrive at the summit exactly at the same time? If we'd not gone to the cafe, for example, or if we'd had less time for a snack on the way up, anything like that would have meant that we'd probably not meet. It's inevitable that over the course of your life, coincidences will happen. And when they do, of course, you'll be amazed and surprised. When I tell people that God has answered my prayers or that something amazing has happened to me that I am sure was God's doing, the common answer from these people is, it was just a coincidence, or that I only say that something has happened from God when something positive happens, and I forget all the times when I prayed but nothing positive seemed to happen. I guess that's one possible answer. But when I look back on my life and over so many things that I can clearly see God has done, so many events and times he has influenced my life and the lives of people around me, then it becomes obvious that it is not coincidence at all. And that goes for when I don't get answers to prayer too. I don't get the answers I want at all, or I get no clear answer. Because even looking back on many of those times, I very often see that what God actually did, or didn't do, was so much better than I wanted myself. His solutions are much, much better than mine ever are. Romans 10, verse 28 says, "And we know that in all things God works for the good of those who love him, who have been called according to his purpose." I wish that meant that only good things will happen to me all the time. Well, it doesn't. What it means is that God knows me better than I know myself, and he knows exactly what is good and right for me in all situations. So when I pray for something I think is right, but he knows is not, then I won't get the answer I want. But I will get the answer God knows to be the best one for me. And over the years I've learned to trust him on that, whatever. I've found that when amazing things happen to me that are clearly from God, I should note them down somewhere, keep a track of them. If you do this, you'll be surprised at how that list grows, and just how reading it again can strengthen your faith as you see just how much he's done for you. Make a note too of the times things didn't go as you wished, or when you just got no answer at all that you were aware of, because often it's only looking back that things become much clearer. My prayer for you today is that you will look out for and notice the things that God does for you, and that as you grow to know him better, you will understand more clearly just what really is good for you, rather than just what you want to happen yourself. The song I have chosen for today is called Faithful One by Bethel AG Church, and you'll find a link to it in the description below this video. I hope you enjoy it. Thank you for joining me again today, and I hope I'll see you again tomorrow.